Hey y'all, I am doing a little something different with this video. I am going to do some cooking. Seeing as how we're all confined in our houses and have nothing else to do, so by the time this quarantine's over, I'm going to weigh 500 pounds because I am watching YouTube cooking videos and I've been cooking. Made meat pies last night. So tonight, I'm going to make smothered pork chops in an onion, bell peppery, celery, Louisiana style gravy. So if you want to see how I do this, then keep on watching. Okay, what you're going to need for this is I have a pack of center cut pork chops with bone in. I've got some all-purpose flour. Now, most people just throw onions in this, but I'm not most people, so I have this half of a bell pepper, so I'm going to throw that in there, and a stalk of celery, and I have one onion because I have some bits and pieces of some onions that were left over from when I would do onion rings or onion petals and all kinds of stuff, so I have some onion, so I'm just going to add another onion to that, and I've got some garlic, and we're going to do some beef broth. So I'm going to get this ready to go in my little chopper thing to get things chopped up. So let me get going with that. Okay, now I have this ready to chop up. I have the one onion plus the pieces of onion that are down there. I have the stalk of celery, the half a bell pepper, and I threw in 2 cloves of garlic. Now I'm going to get this chopped up and ready to go in the pot. I have it all chopped up and ready to go. I'm going to put this to the side and I'm going to start working with my pork chops. Now, all I need for the pork chops is salt and pepper. I'm going to try to do this one-handed. And that's over there. Alright, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to salt and pepper let me turn my because I'm going to sear these. Let me get my pot hot. So let me get that out. So these are going to be seared, but first we are going to salt and pepper these up really good. Okay, and we're going to pat them down, make sure all of that stays on the meat when we get ready to flip. So now we're just going to flip them over and repeat. Salt and peppered both sides of the pork chop. Now I'm going to sear it on each side for about just until it gets brown, kind of like this little. I got a 1/4 cup of oil in there to help with the searing. Why has it? Oh. That might be why. I turned it down too low and it stopped cooking altogether. So, but there's a 1/4 cup of oil, and I mean, granted, I probably could have used a bigger pot, but let's see if I can squeeze one of these small ones. Okay. Move that over here. So I'm going to finish searing these up, and I will come back with the next step after I get done with it. This recipe that I'm making is kind of like the culmination of 3 or 4 different recipes that I found that I've just kind of concocted and said, we're going to see how this works. So I'm not going to lie, I've never made this before, so we will see how it turns out, and hopefully we can eat it. The last pork chop is in the pot. I got about 3 minutes before I can pull it out and dump the vegetables in. Now, when I'm going to show you the pot, and I'm not washing the pot, I'm not cleaning the pot out or anything like that. I'm just going to dump the vegetables in, because everything that's in that pot is seasoning. And it'll come up once the vegetables start sweating. And if it doesn't come up, I'll add a little bit of beef broth in there, and it'll help it come up. And it will flavor the vegetables, give the vegetables a really good flavor, which in turn will flavor the gravy that we're going to make. So hang tight, we're getting there. Alright, it's time to take this last one out. And like I said, don't sweat the bottom of that pot, because once I drop this in, oh, I got to scrape that. So now that the vegetables are in, we're going to saute them until they're soft, and about 20 minutes. And just like that, the bottom is clear. Now we're going to keep on stirring and keep on sauteing these up, and we'll come back when they are soft and we are ready to move on to the next step. Alright, we need to add, to break up that bottom, I'm going to add a little bit of beef broth. This is almost to the point where I need it. We're going to add we're going to add 1/4 of a cup of I'm going to say about another 5 minutes. We're going to add 1/4 of a cup of flour and start making a roux to make our gravy. So about 5 more minutes. Okay, we are there. Alright, I forgot to mention my go-to in everything that I cook. This stuff is the best stuff since sliced bread. It is the best stuff. Oh my gosh, it's so good. And I put it in everything that I cook, and this was no exception. So I'm going to add 2 tablespoons. And I'm going to stir that up around. Now, some people put your favorite Creole seasoning. If you add that, you don't need to add Creole seasoning. Oh, that smells so good. So, okay, now I'm going to move this over, and I'm going to sprinkle in, this is 1/4 cup of flour, all-purpose flour, and I'm going to work that in. Once I get it worked in, I'm going to add a little bit more beef broth to kind of help it liquefy. Now that it's now we're going to work it all around. And oh my gosh, this stuff smells so good. Now, like I said, I've never made this, so this is going to be interesting to whether or not how this, I'm really excited on how this is going to taste. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to add the remaining of my beef broth. There's that one. I'm going to put my fire up a little bit higher. I want to get my quote-unquote gravy done before, so when I put my pork chops in, I don't have to, because I'm going to put my pork chops in here and let it cook and put the lid on it, put it on simmer heat, and let it simmer for 2 hours. And I want to make sure that it's good to go for those 2 hours. I'm scared I'm going to drop my phone. So I'm going to add a little bit more. So I'm going to get there we go. Let this come to a boil. I think I need to add a little bit more beef broth. This is hard to do one-handed. And that was all right. Now we're going to bring this to a boil, and then we'll go from there. It smells unbelievably awesome. I probably feel like I could drink that. Alright, so we're going to bring this to a boil, and then once we get it to a boil, we'll go to the next step. Yeah, I decided I'm going to add some water. I just want to make sure I have enough liquid in there. If I have to take the pork chops out to thicken it up a little bit more once it gets done, then I'll just have to take the pork chops out. I'll just have to do it very carefully because they're going to be so tender they're going to fall apart. So, but now we're waiting for this to come to a boil, and then I'm going to put the pork chops in there, cover it, take it down to a simmering heat, and let it simmer. So I'll be back in just a minute to put the pork chops in. We are at a small, slight boil. So I'm going to take that out and stand here. There we go. It's boiling. So now it's time to put these in there. And they will have finished cooking. And oh my gosh, these are going to be so good. Get them all down in that juice. Tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to lift this one up a little bit and move this one over there. Maybe that'll work. Okay. Now, we have that juice left on the plate. So we're going to definitely dump this. Because we don't want to waste any flavor. So, alright, now I'm going to let this come up to a boil again. Okay, there we go. I'm going to cover it and turn it down to a simmer. Alright, and we're going to let it sit there for 2 hours. 5-11, so 7-11. This we will be unveiling at 7-11. So, stay tuned. I got to get to making the rice and the macaroni and cheese and the corn. Nothing special with the macaroni and cheese. My husband doesn't like anything but Kraft macaroni and cheese in the box. I can't make the homemade, or I can, but he doesn't really like it. So I'm gonna make that. Will finish up to go with our pork chops. So stay tuned, and I will be back with updates. It's 7:05. It's been long enough. I'm starving. And it's done. And it Smells amazing. I can't wait to dig in. Time to plate up. I got the spread kicking. So I'm going to plate up and tell you how the pork chops taste. Oh, and there it is. It's tender. So, let me take a bite. Oh. Good. This is good. Okay. There you have it. It's yum.